Horace approached him with the shotgun, not with the intention to shoot, but suddenly his shotgun went off and Broski fell immediately. We fled the scene, not knowing for a fact whether he was dead or alive.
In 1860, we moved to a wonderful estate in rural Germantown, which we called Montebello. In April 1874, I married James Warburton Martinez Cardeza, an up-and-coming attorney from a well-connected Philadelphia family.
The North American newspaper used the occasion to preach a fitting sermon. The spectacle was one of warning to those who, in the pursuits of pleasure, forget the commandments of God, the dictates of conscience, and the rights, rules, and laws of society.
He was dead of fever by September 9th. In the 35th year of his age, he was interred in a temporary grave in Virginia until 1859, when his corpse joins that of 10 other volunteers beneath the yellow fever monument over at East Laurel Hill.
I wore these white gowns and said to anyone who would listen, I have seen to the beyond. The world is coming to an end. All who ignore me shall face the damnation of their souls.
The Boulevard Inn. Oh my God. Well, for starters, we only got $35, which is still more than it sounds. But after the last tip, what a disappointment. So, I walk into the adjacent room, and I say, this is a holdup, now stick it up! So to everybody who's there. And the idea is I don't want to just rob the register, I want to rob all the people there. One of them turns out to be a state trooper. Guy by the name of John Brewski. Well, Horace, he approaches him with his gun, not intending to shoot, and suddenly the gun goes off. Brewski falls immediately. I mean, we fled the scene, not knowing whether or not he was alive or dead.
A few years later, James and I divorced after I found out about Cecile. Her last name escapes me, but suffice it to say, Jimmy saw her on stage and was quite smitten. They eventually married. I eventually forgave him, and we remained friends.
We're going to the Jersey countryside for a weekend of hunting.
I hailed a cab and bid it follow their carriage towards the Market Street wharf. As their carriage boarded the ferry bound for Camden and proceeded on foot, I hid behind a wagon and watched and waited. Then, while the coachman and Hipperton's lawyer soothed the horses, I emerged from behind the wagon, strode across the deck towards the carriage, thrust my pistol through the rear window, and fired 4 shots. The deed is done, I cried. I give myself up to justice.
Not quite so heroic. As I lay dying on the carriage floor, I could hear him laughing insanely and calling for a fiddle so all could dance. I was buried on February 14th, Valentine's Day. Over 2,000 people, many of them young women, came to watch my meager cortege as it made its way from my home at 9th and Arch to the Central Presbyterian Church at 8th and Cherry. My widowed mother walked the distance, surrounded by 2 friends.
I trembled uncontrollably on the floor, and in that moment, I was transported into the beyond, and I heard the voice of God. He told me things I needed to know. He told me things I needed to share with others. He told me I had a very important job to do, and it wasn't sewing clothes.